Live from KSAT 12, the news at noon starts right now.
Thunderstorms creeping in this noon.
You know, we've been waiting for rain, but right now several areas in our community are under a severe thunderstorm watch.
Justin Horn is tracking all of it for us.
Hey there, good afternoon, guys. Most of the storms that we were seeing this morning starting to die down. So some good news there. We're not seeing the severe weather. I know we need some rain. I don't think we're going to get much here in town. Most of those storms were out west. And now that they're dying down, we're just not getting a whole lot here in San Antonio. There's some drizzle out there, which may cause for some slick roadways, but no significant rain. You see the storms there. We had some of those severe storms earlier across parts of Edwards County, Kinney County, and then up across the Junction area. Still a strong storm up there in Mason County, but it's moving out of our viewing area. So again, here around San Antonio, just some light rain. And the one storm that we were watching, it was working its way down Highway 90. It has dissipated and basically gone away here. So severe thunderstorm watch is still in effect until 3 o'clock. We still could see a couple more storms, although I think the worst of it is probably over when it comes to the severe weather. Forecast for today, we'll get up close to 70 degrees. It stays on the cool side, lots of clouds. We'll keep a slight chance of rain in there. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Another slight chance of rain tomorrow, and then some cooler temperatures this weekend. We'll break it all down for you coming up here in just a few minutes, guys.
Thanks, Justin. New at noon, a two-story fire forcing 2 people out of their home on the city's north side.
Emergency crews are still on the scene right now of that fire at 12 Champion Trail, just off of Canyon Gulf Road, north of Stone Oak Parkway.
Stephen Cavazos is there now live. Steve, what's the scene looking like right now?
Yeah, Ursula, Patty, unfortunately, we're not able to get close to that scene because this is a gated community. However, a spokesman for the San Antonio Fire Department, that is, does tell us that the homeowners actually called this fire in. And as crews were driving down here at Canyon Gulf Road, that's when they spotted flames coming from this area. And what we're going to do now is zoom in as much as we can. And it looks like we still at least have one first responder that we can spot in that area. Now, when crews did get to the home, that fire was immediately upgraded to a 2-alarm fire for a number of reasons, including the size of the home, the proximity to other homes, and neighboring wildlife. Now, thankfully, the homeowners were already outside when that house, out of the house when they arrived. That fire took about 30 minutes to put out. Crews are still knocking down some hot spots, and we're told that they're expected to be out here for at least another half hour. Now, one of the homeowners did suffer a burn injury to the arm and was transported to a nearby hospital. Another was treated on the scene for smoke inhalation. No other injuries were reported, and no neighboring homes were evacuated. Now, thankfully, Patty, Ursula, again, no injuries were reported, but a cause has still not been determined. But investigators don't believe that this fire was suspicious. The estimated damage right now is still not known. We're live on the north side. Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News. Patty, Ursula.
Thanks, Stephen. Also new this noon, a big day for Joint Base San Antonio. A new $54 million PX shopping center is now open, and it serves nearly 400,000 people in our community. And the money it will make will help support military families. The mall includes 7 specialty stores that offer everything from games to medical equipment. There's also a barbershop, pharmacy, and dental clinic. Shoppers will enjoy tax-free shopping and military exclusive pricing, and it's not just creating options for shoppers. The money made at the exchange supports service members and their families.
We're family serving family, so a lot of our, probably about 85% of our associates are connected to the military in some form or fashion. So they enjoy, they love serving the members that serve, and every dollar that people spend at the exchange goes right back into the military community.
And the project is a joint venture among the Exchange, the Air Force, and Military Medical Command. The Exchange, not taxpayers, funded most of the project.
Judson ISD teachers could soon see a pay increase. The topic up for a vote tonight. Judson ISD administration proposing the raise as part of a new compensation plan for the 2021-22 school year. The Board of Trustees will now review it and vote on it tonight at 6. The plan includes a 2% raise for all teachers and also a targeted equity adjustment for some teachers in order to make pay rates comparable to surrounding districts. The JISD administration also proposing a 2% raise for professional employees and a 3% raise for auxiliary and clerical workers. If the plan is passed, it goes into effect July 1st.
The May election is coming up on the 1st of next month, and voters will have to decide on candidates for the San Antonio mayor. In order to help you make your choice, we've teamed up with the San Antonio Report and Bare Facts to ask candidates some of the questions on everyone's mind. And that's the purpose of our three-part forum. The third part takes place tonight. We'll be joined by mayoral candidate Denise Gutierrez-Homer right here on KSAT 12 at 6:30. Now, the discussion will then continue online from 7 p.m. to about 7:30 on KSAT.com. The first two-part already aired and featured incumbent Mayor Ron Nierenberg and former council member Greg Brockhouse. Right now on KSAT.com, you can watch our discussion with Greg Brockhouse. He drew sharp contrast from Mayor Nierenberg's when it came to the handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Brockhouse also took a first stance when it comes to Proposition B. You can watch the entire interview on our website.
We want to bring you the latest now on the coronavirus pandemic in Bexar County. According to the latest update, 252 more people were diagnosed with COVID-19 and 6 more people died after getting sick with the virus. The numbers are on a downward trend at our local hospitals, however. We have dropped below the 200 mark. 70 COVID-19 patients are in the intensive care unit. 32 are on ventilators. And as we trend downward, jury trials are set to resume in all Bexar County courts on June 1st, but it is going to start off slowly. Online registration now open for 2 vaccination clinics operated by WellMed. People can sign up to get the first dose of the Moderna vaccine. Appointments available from April 19th to April 23rd at the Elvira Cisneros and the Alicia Zervino Lopez Senior Centers. Vaccines are available for anyone 18 or older. We have links to sign up for an appointment right now on KSAT.com. You can also call 833-968-1745 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And this noon, Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine will remain in limbo for a little longer. This comes after government health advisors said they needed more evidence to decide if a handful of unusual blood clots were linked to the shot, and if so, how big the risk really is. The reports are rare, just 6 cases out of more than 7 million Johnson & Johnson vaccinations in the U.S., but the holdup is having a huge impact on 7,000 locations where Johnson & Johnson was the only vaccine offered. Now, those waiting in line to be vaccinated are now scrambling to find available shots from Pfizer and Moderna.
I get why they're doing it out of the abundance of caution, but the statistics were so low for someone like myself to get, the blood clotting they were talking about and all that. I was willing to take the risk anyway.
And the CDC panel will meet again in the next 7 days to review the data and then vote on a decision.
President Joe Biden announcing that America will end its longest war and withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan by September 11th, the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that drew the U.S. into that region. Meanwhile, the president's own intelligence community warning that withdrawing U.S. troops could create a power vacuum. As ABC's Andrew Dimbert reports, it could be filled by the Taliban once the U.S. leaves.
It's time to end America's longest war.
From Arlington National Cemetery, President Joe Biden honoring this nation's fallen servicemen and women, formally announcing the withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan by September 11th. NATO announcing it will do the same, ending the almost 20-year military mission after 2,300 Americans and over 40,000 Afghan civilians have been killed.
Our reasons for remaining in Afghanistan become increasingly unclear.
The pullout was first negotiated last year by then-President Trump, who signed a deal with the Taliban. Mr. Biden now asserting the U.S. must honor its foreign agreements. But Biden's own CIA director warns
there is a significant risk once the U.S. military and the coalition militaries withdraw. Both al-Qaeda and ISIS in Afghanistan remain intent on recovering the ability to attack U.S. targets.
While Secretary of State Antony Blinken making a surprise visit to Afghanistan.
The United States will remain Afghanistan's steadfast partner. We want the Afghan people, countries in the region, and the international community to know that fact.
President Biden vows the U.S. will remain committed to Afghanistan's people and government, but critics fear that the Taliban will take control by force, effectively ending rights and freedoms earned by so many citizens, particularly women and girls. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, Washington.
Back here at home, City Council members are discussing the future of the Alamo Master Plan today. Details of the revamped plan were released last week. A key component to the original plan was moving the cenotaph. Now, you may remember the Texas Historical Commission decided back in September that the city could not do that. The new version of the plan would not move the monument, but the site would be marked off by distinct pavers or stones. The City Council meeting just started a few minutes ago. Now, if anything important happens, we will let you know later up in the newscast. Now, as more students head to in-person classes, school zones are a bit busier again, and that's led to some questions from viewers for our SAQ segment. For instance, Lisa wanted to know, why are there different school zone speed limits? Wood Middle School has 30 miles per hour school zones. Some are 20, 25 miles per hour. Now, Traffic Authority Samuel King has some answers.
How fast you can go, or how slow you should go, mostly depends on the type of neighborhoods and roads in the area where a school is located. In the city of San Antonio, traffic engineers with the Public Works Department have the final say on the speed limit in school zones.
Is it a residential road? Is it a business road? Is it a highway? We'll usually reduce to 20 miles an hour or 15 miles below the default speed limit.
That means on roads like De Zavala or Judson Road, the school zone can be 30 miles per hour.
You don't want to go too far down from the default speed limit because you'll have a lot of people just slamming on their brakes, and that's something you don't want either.
Officials say busier roads might have higher speed limits in school zones, but they say the bottom line is the same: slow down.
When you're going slower, you're usually a little more alert about what's going on. You have time to make up for any mistakes that might happen.
On the enforcement side, SAPD says it enforces school zones depending on the choice of a given school district, and they strongly encourage citizens to be mindful when driving into school zones. And Barry says you should treat all school zones as active during the school year, even if most of the students in a particular area are learning remotely. Samuel King, KSAT 12 News.
A robbery investigation is now underway. Police reaching out to you to try to track down two suspects. It happened in the 3500 block of Broadway. Sunday, March 21st, police tell us one of the men approached the victim while showing a weapon, and that's when the officers say the suspect demanded money and the victim's belongings. Police say two suspects drove off in a white four-door vehicle like the one that you see on the screen. If you recognize these men or have any information that could lead to an arrest, you can call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
And a shooting overnight has left San Antonio police scratching their heads for many reasons.
They're trying to figure out why someone took aim at a driver near Interstate 35 in Malone and who did it.
Well, Katrina Weber tells us why they're also amazed the victim wasn't seriously hurt.
Battle scars are all over this Lincoln MKZ, from broken windows to bullet holes in its body. San Antonio police say someone shot this car as many as 5 times around 2:30 this morning as it sat at a traffic light near Interstate 35 and Malone Avenue. The 30-year-old man inside it told police he had just left a sports bar in the area where he had no problems. He says he was planning to gas up at this Shell station when he heard the sound of gunshots. Police say despite the way his car looked, his body showed only one bruise. It sounds like this may be a case of one lucky car seat. Now, this obviously is not the victim's car, but police say a bullet did tear through his trunk, come through the back seat, and then hit the back of his driver's seat. Somehow, though, he wasn't seriously hurt. In fact, firefighters were able to check out the bruise on his back right here at the scene. Police told me the man didn't realize at first that he had been hit, but when he did, he called for help from the gas station. And because it happened so quickly, they say he was not able to get a description of the shooter. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
And we're still watching for the potential of a few storms as we get into the afternoon across the hill country. An update is coming up.
Even though Fiesta has been pushed back this year, people can enjoy a Fiesta-themed exhibit at the Witte Museum. What you can expect at the Te Amo Fiesta after the break.
Fiesta may have been pushed back to this summer, but there's one iconic San Antonio spot celebrating its colors and magic in April.
Yeah, visitors will be able to see papel picado, royals, medals, and even parades as part of the Witte's new exhibit called Te Amo Fiesta, or I Love You Fiesta.
Alicia Barrera is at the museum and has more on the celebration that opened up today.
Truly, Te Amo Fiesta. It's thanks to the Witte Museum that we can actually still celebrate Fiesta in April. Just take a look at all the color and fun happening here. Some of the most loved and iconic aspects of the San Antonio tradition that dates back to 130 years are featured in the new exhibit. Te Amo Fiesta features stunning gowns from the coronation of the Alamo, royals including El Rey Feo, Miss Fiesta, the Charro Queen, but also some unofficial royals like Rey Fido and Fiesta Especial.
This is really our little love letter to Fiesta, of all the things that we have missed when we had to cancel Fiesta last year.
The Witte says they've been working on bringing the spirit of Fiesta back after last year's celebrations were canceled.
We even have information about the impact on Fiesta to our community, how much food we eat during Fiesta, how many volunteers it takes to put on this amazing event every year.
The exhibit was also made possible by a grant from the Fiesta San Antonio Commission. Te Amo Fiesta is included with general admission and will remain open until August 1st of this year. For more details, including for the after hours cocktail event that is Fiesta themed, you can head over to KSAT.com. Reporting from the Witte, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
We need the rain. Will we get any rain? All we've had are drizzles so far here in San Antonio.
I think Mother Nature is teasing us.
Yeah, it's not fair when we have a day like this and
nothing happens.
Measurable rain comes out of it.
It's frustrating. I know it's frustrating. And yes, there was some rain this morning. We had some thunderstorms out west. It doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot here in San Antonio today. We may have another slight chance tomorrow, but it looks like we're headed into drought. The aquifer thankfully didn't change much today. It's at 649 even. That's where it was yesterday. And the pollen count, oak is high. And because it has been at least a little damp, mold has jumped up to 670 moderate. Pecan and pine in the low category. We'll take another look at the radar. We'll look ahead to the weekend and talk about this drought situation coming up.
Well, I guess we were just talking about my son's job mowing the grass this summer. If it doesn't rain, I don't think he's going to have much of a career.
Well, listen, I mowed the lawn last weekend, and all I got was a cloud of dust and pollen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Not right, just pollen.
You were brave.
Yeah, I should have been wearing like 3 masks.
Yeah.
Goggles.
Exactly. Hopefully we do get a little bit of rain somewhere down the line, because it is starting to get to that point where we're really worried about the aquifer. It is going to be, dry this summer. We typically see that. So we need some rain now. And we did get some this morning, not necessarily here in San Antonio, but folks out west where the drought situation is even worse did at least get a little bit. You see the storms that developed earlier this morning. We had sort of several individual cells here sort of split apart and worked their way east and northeast, some of which were severe, did put out some hail, but mainly over rural areas. And now we're left with one little cell there out in Edwards County, and that's it. We've got some sprinkles and some drizzle here across San Antonio. Even though the radar is not picking that up, it is there, so it is a little damp outside. There's the one remaining cell just south of Rock Springs. It's moving north and east, but it's fairly weak at this point. And then San Antonio, as we mentioned, we've gotten some sprinkles, some drizzle. We'll see a little bit more of that into the afternoon, but nothing that's going to measure up to a whole lot of rain, unfortunately. Severe thunderstorm watch still in effect until 3 o'clock. I think the main threat for severe weather is going to shift a little bit more to the north of San Antonio and maybe east of that. We'll see what the Storm Prediction Center does. But I think the threat here in San Antonio is basically over with, and we weren't even included in the watch to begin with. But again, the threat will probably shift a little bit further east into the afternoon. And here's a look at the computer model. And it does show a couple of showers here and there. This is around 5 o'clock. Again, nothing huge on there. And then as we get into tomorrow, a couple showers, 30% chance of rain. And even by Friday afternoon, I think we're starting to see some clearing out west. And that should boost temperatures some before our front comes through on Saturday. Forecast for today, we're going to keep it in the 60s, maybe close to 70 with cloud cover. There's your 30% chance of rain. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. And outside right now, Lots of clouds, still some low-hanging clouds, 65 degrees at the airport. Humidity is at 87%. We've got a pretty good east-northeasterly wind at 16. There was some fog earlier, too. Most of that's gone away here in town, but still seeing that out around Hondo, Kerrville up to Fredericksburg. Some mist and drizzle, too. Temperatures mid-60s here across San Antonio, 62, Kerrville, 66 in Rock Springs, and then it does get warmer as you go south. 75 in Cotulla, 73 in Beeville. Here's the bigger picture, and we still have a frontal boundary down here to the south. North of that, we're getting the overrunning, some disturbances coming through, so that's what helped create some of the severe weather today. And the bulk of the heavier rain is actually north of that watch box, so everything's just kind of staying to our north, unfortunately. Temperatures in the 60s today, 80s tomorrow. I think it warms back up a little bit. Then we get our next front, and this one cools us down for the weekend. We're back in the 60s, so this is some below average weather when we're talking about temperatures. The extended forecasts will go 85 tomorrow, 30% chance of rain. I think it's mainly first half of the day and maybe some clearing. Mostly cloudy on Saturday, 20% chance of rain, 67. I'll point out, though, that it is going to be windy. We'll get some northerly winds gusting to 35. If you have plans this weekend, I think it looks okay for the most part as far as rain goes. Some of those showers and maybe a rumble of thunder will be around on Saturday. Sunday looks fairly quiet, 67, low humidity and mostly cloudy. Another little disturbance rolls through on Monday, but not a lot of hope for rain there either. And then it warms back up into the 80s next week. So we've had chances as of late, but it's been hit or miss, and it just has not been enough to get us out of this drought, guys.
Not even close.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin.
We'll have to keep waiting for something to wash our cars.
Yeah. With vaccinations increasing, more people may want to find a way to keep that COVID-19 vaccination record card safe. But do not laminate it. What you need to do instead, coming up in the next half hour.
And LaMarcus Aldridge made a major decision. The former Spurs player says he's retiring. Why he made the decision after the break.
New this noon, major breaking news in the sports world. Less than a month after leaving the San Antonio Spurs and signing with the Brooklyn Nets, LaMarcus Aldridge announced he is retiring from the NBA. On Instagram, the 35-year-old posted a letter that he said he wrote with a heavy heart.
And he said he made the decision to retire because of heart issues. Aldridge said he noticed he had an irregular heartbeat during his last game and said the problems got worse later than that night. And he told team doctors the next morning and went on to the hospital to be checked out.
Aldridge thanked Portland, San Antonio, and Brooklyn, the cities where he played during his 15-year NBA career. He was a top recruit player out of the University of Texas. Aldridge spent 5+ seasons with the Spurs and was named to the NBA All-Star team 3 times while he was here. Dollar General needs to hire a lot of people coming up in the next half hour. What jobs it has open and how many people the company will hire this spring.
The American College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists now has a new recommendation for pregnant women. It says they should not get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We'll tell you why they're saying this still ahead.
We want to bring you the latest in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. The defense continuing to present evidence at this hour, but they are expected to rest at some point today.
ABC's Rena Roy reports the prosecution will then call a rebuttal witness before closing arguments begin.
For the first time, Derek Chauvin spoke out in the courtroom as he decided not to testify in his own murder trial.
I will invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege today.
The medical examiner who performed George Floyd's autopsy officially deemed his death a homicide. But Wednesday, forensic pathologist Dr. David Howler, called by Derek Chauvin's defense team, says he believes it was actually undetermined and that drugs and heart issues played a big part.
How did the heart and drugs contribute to the cause of death?
They were significant.
Dr. Fowler arguing carbon monoxide from the police cruiser's tailpipe may have also been a factor, the prosecution putting up a fight.
You haven't seen any data or test results that showed Mr. Floyd had a single injury from carbon monoxide. Is that true?
That is correct, because it was never sent to a laboratory for that test.
I asked you whether it was true, sir. Yes or no?
It is true.
Today, the prosecution calling a rebuttal witness after the defense rested its case.
As to the statement that his carboxyhemoglobin could have increased by 10 to 18%, in your view, That's not possible.
It's simply wrong.
And it was at most 2%.
At most 2%.
Normal.
Which is normal.
Defense Attorney Nelson did a good job on direct, creating enough to work with, essentially making lemonade out of the lemons that he's been dealt. But with the skill of the cross-examination, it just became apparent that it was just grasping at straws.
Closing arguments are set for Monday, then the jury will be sequestered and deliberations will begin. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And as the communities around Minneapolis nervously await the outcome of the trial for Derek Chauvin, a former Minnesota police officer faces her first court appearance in the traffic stop shooting of Daunte Wright. The shooting resulted in 4 straight days of protest in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Kim Potter is expected to appear via Zoom this afternoon. Yesterday, she was charged with second-degree manslaughter. Her chief said it appeared Potter confused her taser with her handgun. She was arrested yesterday and later freed after posting a $100,000 bond.
Today, the top watchdog for the U.S. Capitol Police will testify before Congress for the first time about the department's broad failures during and before the January 6th insurrection. Among them was missed intelligence and old weapons that officers didn't feel comfortable using. Capitol Police Inspector General Michael A. Bolton has investigated in the months since hundreds of President Donald Trump's supporters broke into the Capitol building. In a report obtained by the Associated Press ahead of Bolton's House appearance, Bolton paints a bleak picture of his agency's ability to respond to future threats.
Today, the Biden administration announced new sanctions on Russia and the removal of 10 diplomats. The moves are in response to interference in last year's presidential election, as well as the hacking of federal government agencies. The U.S., for the first time, explicitly linked that intrusion to a Russian intelligence service. Now, for weeks, the Biden administration has hinted the sanctions were coming.
A top official from the World Health Organization says Europe has surpassed 1 million deaths from COVID-19, and the area is still seeing about 1.6 million new cases each week. But there is some good news. The WHO says it is seeing early signs that transmission may be slowing across several European countries. It says there are also fewer reports of older people getting sick. Britain in particular has seen new infections and COVID-19 deaths drop dramatically since January.
And with the pause of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the U.S., new recommendations for pregnant and postpartum women when it comes to getting vaccinated for COVID-19.
CNN's Mandy Gaither has more.
Hours after a pause on the U.S.'s only single-dose COVID-19 vaccine, a new recommendation by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the group encouraging pregnant and postpartum women who wish to get vaccinated to either get the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines, which are designed differently, rather than the Johnson & Johnson vaccine if it becomes available again.
Pregnancy itself is a risk factor for blood clots. So when you think about that, the serious side effect we're talking about is blood clots, anything you can do to reduce that risk makes sense.
The CDC and FDA called for a pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine out of what the agencies called an abundance of caution after more than 6.8 million doses of the vaccine were administered in the U.S. 6 cases were reported of a rare and severe type of blood clot in women ages 18 to 48. It's still unclear whether the vaccine was the cause.
We do know this is an exceedingly rare complication. It's about 1 in a million. Which is good because it is a serious complication. So we also know that most of these blood clots occurred within 2 weeks from receiving the vaccine. So if you're already past that 2-week mark, you're probably in the clear.
But Atlanta-based OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says pregnant women who have gotten the Johnson & Johnson vaccine should listen to their bodies, seek medical help if they experience any symptoms, which could include severe headache, abdominal pain, leg pain, or shortness of breath. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists says its recommendation is being made until there's what they called a better understanding of the frequency and impact of this finding and whether it's linked to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Should you laminate your vaccine card? Even though you may have heard otherwise, it might be a good idea to hold off on that if you haven't already laminated it. The reason can be found right on the card. There's a couple of empty slots at the bottom, and they're there for a reason.
Those empty slots are in the event that we have to have booster doses, God forbid, and that if you laminate the card, it's going to be really hard to add the booster doses to it.
Right now, it's not clear if vaccinated people are going to need to get a booster. Pfizer and Moderna are still conducting their studies. In the meantime, if you can keep your card safe by buying a sleeve for it, similar to one you might get for your passport, and if you've already laminated it, just contact the site where you received your vaccine and ask them about getting a new card.
Taking a live look outside, I think I got 3 little drops of rain on my car.
I drove here in the mist and then got to the station and it was dry as a bone.
Yeah, it's all been really light here in San Antonio today. And yes, we still need the rain. We're watching some storms, though, that are sort of not refiring, but one that's really holding on across Gillespie County. I want to show you that. See that big bowling ball of a storm up there north of Fredericksburg? Really, it's north of our viewing area, but we're going to keep an eye on it. It's moving east and now sort of southeast. It's taking a little bit of a turn, and this is a severe storm. It's moving into northern Gillespie County, extreme northeastern parts of Gillespie County. We'll zoom in a little bit closer, and you can see this is a big one, and it's going to put down a lot of lightning, probably some hail in this storm as well. It'll work its way towards the Marble Falls area here within the next hour or so. So if you have friends or family up there, you may want to let them know it's a pretty big storm headed their way. Otherwise, everything here in our viewing area is generally pretty quiet. We've been watching things here across San Antonio, just some light drizzle, some light mist, but nothing that's been of great significance. It's going to keep the roads a little wet, though, so if you're out traveling, keep that in mind. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 3 o'clock today. I think the threat out west is probably winding down a little bit, but as you go east of here, they may extend this watch off to the east as some of these storms work in that direction north of San Antonio. Temperature-wise, we're still in the 60s, and with the cloud cover and that drizzle, we're not going to warm up all that much today, so expect those highs to stay right there in the 60s, potentially 69 by 5 o'clock. We will leave in a 30% chance of rain. Northeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Guys.
Thank you, Justin. Dollar General stores are going on a hiring spree. How many workers the company says it needs and what positions they need to fill.
And the CDC says having an empty middle seat on planes can reduce exposure to COVID-19 by 23 to 57%. Still ahead, a look at the study and why researchers say it is still not safe to travel. In your other consumer news, Dollar General is planning to add 20,000 workers this spring. This includes full and part-time staff in stores and distribution centers. The company is also hiring drivers for its private trucking fleet. The latest hiring spree will expand the company's workforce by 13%. Now, unlike other retailers, Dollar General is thriving during the pandemic. It is set to open more than 1,000 stores this year.
Turning now to a new study on how middle seats on planes protect others against COVID-19 exposure. According to a new study by the CDC, researchers found the risk of COVID-19 exposure was reduced by 23 to 57% when the middle seats were empty on planes. Scientists say the study only addresses exposure, not transmission. Researchers say they used mannequins without masks during the study.
The CDC found an effect even without the mask, but it wasn't the real world. Take the mannequins and actually put masks on them and run the study. Imagine what we could find here.
Researchers say more tests are needed to determine the risk of the virus possibly being transmitted and causing illness on planes. The analysis did not measure the impact of wearing masks, which is currently required on flights. New guidance from the CDC says fully vaccinated people can travel at low risk to themselves, but travel still isn't recommended because of the rising numbers of coronavirus cases.
You know, even before this study, whenever I would travel, I would always get sick, and kind of makes sense, right? You're sitting too close.
Too close. Too many, germs, germaphobes.
Especially if you're 6'4", there's not enough leg room.
Yeah.
Having the
You need
seat
that
open.
special seat on the Southwest Plains.
Kind of nice. We're seeing temperatures sort of flip-flop here when we look at the almanac. 75 was the high. That was actually right around midnight. 65 is the low, which is where we are right now. Temperatures actually cooling a little bit as we went through the day, and we're probably going to stay in the 60s. The averages are 80 and 58. Records are 95 and 38. We do still have some storms on the radar. We'll show them to you when we come back.
It always is painful when we have rain all around us.
And it doesn't
but not
land
here
here.
in the city. Yeah, not fair because we need it.
We do. And the rain chances are, 20, 30%. It's going to be hit or miss, but most of us will not get the rain. And yes, we need it. The drought situation continues to get worse around here. We look at the radar. We had some storms earlier. They kind of lined up out west, had some splitting cells, and now they're falling apart, at least across the hill country. We are watching this one lone cell here. You'll notice it's kind of taking a little bit of a right turn. We see that happen sometimes, moving into northeastern Gillespie County. This is a cell we need to watch. It's just out of our viewing area, I think, but it still could affect parts of Gillespie County and northern Blanco County. It looks like it's going to move just south of Marble Falls, but it's a big one. Likely some pretty good sizable hail with this storm, gusty winds and some lightning strikes. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning out for this cell. And this is our hail tracker. We can kind of see how large the hail is. Looks like it wasn't as large as it was earlier, probably about 2 inches or so, which more or less probably golf ball size range as this storm moves towards Highway 16 there. So we'll keep an eye on that cell. Otherwise, here in San Antonio, things are quiet. Yes, we've had some drizzle and some mist. We're still seeing some of that. We can see that on some of the TransGuide cameras, but nothing that's going to add up to much. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 3 p.m. this afternoon. It does include most of the hill country, but as we talked about earlier, it may be extended east. So the threat is really starting to shift east. I think if you're out west, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Rock Springs, the threat's probably over for now. Although later this afternoon, there could be a storm or two that comes off the mountains. Otherwise, I think the threat is, again, pretty much winding down. Outside, we've got the cloudy skies, 65 degrees, east-northeasterly winds at about 16 miles per hour. That continues to usher in some cooler air and is keeping temperatures really kind of steady. And I don't know that we'll get out of the 60s today. It's going to stay on the cool side. 67 at Helotes, 61 Bernie Stage, 63 in Bulverde, 64 New Braunfels, and then 70s down to the south. So some of the warmer air still down around Cotulla, especially Laredo, where it's 84. And then as you go north, the temperatures cool off. Here's one of our computer models, and it does show that there's not going to be much out there today. Some showers around 5 o'clock, and again, maybe a few storms out west there in the mountains in Mexico. And then as we get into tomorrow, a couple rounds and maybe some showers, especially early in the day. And then we may actually see some clearing west to east. And so tomorrow, there's not a great chance for rain. It's there, but it's just not going to be terribly widespread. Looking at the forecast for today, we'll call for a 30% chance of rain, tapering off a little bit this evening. Temperatures close to 70, but I think we probably stay in the 60s. And then as we look at the big picture here, the reason we're seeing some of these storms right now, a little disturbance working west-east across the state, and that's kicking off showers and storms not only here, but up across parts of north central Texas, too. We still have our frontal boundary at play. So a lot going on here, and the temperatures, it's been this way most of the week, where it's really chilly up in the Panhandle, 40s, and then really warm down south, 81 in Brownsville, and we'll continue to see this range of temperatures as long as that front is around. And temperatures are even colder as you get up into the mountains. There's some cold air, or at least cooler air, that will work in this weekend behind another front, and that will keep us cool. 67 on Saturday, 67 on Sunday. It will be windy Saturday, so heads up there, and a slight chance of some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder behind the front. So 30% chance today, 30% tomorrow, and then a 20% chance on Saturday. Maybe a stray shower storm on Monday. Temperatures will rebound next week. We'll eventually make it back into the 80s, but some chilly mornings too. Notice Sunday morning and Monday morning in the 40s. We'll be right back.
SA Live's always got something good cooking.
What do they have today?
Oh, wait, you see what we have today. Before we get to the food, though, we have some cocktails here for a very special guest.
Yes, so he is actor and former entertainment reporter reporter, and now Michael Yo is going to follow his passion into comedy.
That's right. I'm the thing that's cooking today on the show. I'm cooking. I'm hot, baby. That's what's up.
Used to do what we did, and then basically got a real job.
Yeah, you know what's weird is I'm looking at a studio. They don't even let y'all in the studio. Like, you got a fully function and cardboard cutouts. You're not even on the cardboard. What's wrong? Who do you got me hanging out with over here?
We don't have cutouts.
No, we don't. Hey, yeah, long story. Okay, he is going to be cooking as well today. Going to tell us all about that and your lovely wife and children.
Absolutely.
And how you decided to just take the leap and go into comedy, right?
That's right, and why I'm performing at LOL tonight and through the weekend. So it's going to be lots of fun. Get ready.
All right.
We're ready.
We're ready for some food, right?
Yes, indeed. All right, it tastes just like chicken. However, it is not. And we are going to be sampling some vegan, and Sarah is here with some great sandwiches that will fool the greatest meat lover.
All right, and we are going to show you how to really get organized underneath your kitchen sink.
Have you ever dug underneath the sink and found stuff?
Oh my goodness, from like years ago, where I don't even know how long it's been there. We're going to solve that problem.
That's where I put that thing. Oh yeah. Hey, looking for a new home? We are going to head up into the hill country. Some beautiful homes up there, and just dream and Google those and show you all about them. Also, okay, what would you like to do if you could just take a leap of faith? That and more coming up on SA Live with this gentleman.
Yeah.